Welcome to a new edition of the Talkover podcast. My name is DJ Dubl and I'm here to talk you through some of the comments that we've had on our YouTube, Twitter, Instagram and Spotify, all relating to the Talkover podcast. Every week we obviously do a sit down conversation, myself and DJ Stylus. He's away now at the moment. He's away on holiday with his missus, enjoying himself in the sunshine. I'm left here to do all the work. So I'm going through the comments today. The last few weeks we've been away on the road. We've done on the road podcasts up in Edinburgh. Shouts to Prospect, DJ Major, shouts to Chris Murdy and big ups to Ellington as well. So going through the comments, we had a conversation about banning music and not playing artists that we don't like. And Nigel B jumped into the comments and he said it's hard. For example, I stopped playing DVS, but I still spin R. Kelly and Vybz Kartel. It's a double standard. Maybe it depends on the artist and the relevance. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Yeah, I think certain artists are gonna get binned. For example, my comments in there where I wasn't playing Solo 4-5 anymore because of what he did. But at the same time, I did point out that I was more than happy to play a whole entire Vybz Kartel set and he's in jail for murder. So, bit of a double standard there. But we are interested to hear more about what you guys think in terms of banning artists. Do you have any artists on your ban list and people that you're not playing? That's what we want to know. We did an episode on social media. Basically, it wasn't even a podcast episode. It was a webinar from DJ Stylus. He's like a social media guru and he just understands how social media works on a whole nother level. David Malbranque, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your surname. David Malbranque, that's what I'm sticking with. He commented, I'm a social media consultant and buying followers is rife. I think we all kind of know that now as well. Everyone's doing it and it's so blatant, but as Dubl said, it's because people put a lot of stock into numbers. If Instagram do another purge again, it's going to be embarrassing for a lot of people. I think there's two things about buying followers and buying your social media numbers. The swipe up feature on Instagram stories is a massive help. You can drive people directly through to your Mixcloud, to your YouTube, to your website, wherever, and they can swipe up. You can only do that if you have 10,000 followers on Instagram. That, I think, is the only justifiable excuse for why you can buy followers. I haven't personally bought them. As I explained in that podcast, I want to make sure that my brand is growing organically. I want to make sure that the numbers I have on social media are genuine fans, or in business terms, like these are your customers. So I want to make sure these people are genuine customers and it's a genuine network and fan base of people there. If you're buying followers and if you're buying likes, it's just fake numbers. It's basically nothing. All it is it just looks good. It's like having a Ferrari but putting like a lawnmower engine inside. Like, cool, you look really cool driving down the street, but you're basically just driving a really posh lawnmower. And that's the best analogy I can think of it for doing this social media thing. A lot of people are getting caught in the hype and they're too busy on making sure their shit bangs and making sure that they look incredible online. And what they're forgetting to do is actually make sure that they are building a quality business and a quality brand. So I think that's one massive reason why you shouldn't be buying your followers on social media. But yeah, shouts to David Malbranque for the comment up on there. Also, big ups to DJ Arj and Denzel Sappho. You guys jumped in the comments too, so I appreciate that. We did an episode on something called the DJ license. Big up Sean Baxter Show. Shouts to Shafiq Kayuki. Big ups to James Paul and shouts to Killer Jace too. All guys that jumped in the comments with positive things to say about that one. I do appreciate you guys. DJ MG said, I think you touched on a very good point with paper contracts. Why aren't all club promoters using contracts for residents? Basically because it's easy to drop them. If they've got a paper contract and it runs like a normal business, you're gonna have to start giving notice. And most clubs don't like that. They don't like the having to dedicate themselves to one particular DJ. It's almost a world that if you're not pulling your weight, you can get dropped next week. I even know like one of the biggest clubbing companies in the UK operates like that sometimes. So I've heard of instances where DJs have finished their set at a residency, they have a weekly residency, they finish it, and at the end of the night they're told, thanks very much for your service, that was your last set with us. And to me, that's completely wrong. And as I said, I mean, I think we should have a lot more job security. Paper contracts would help that, but there's no way the clubs are going to agree to that. DJ Audio 1 says about the DJ license again, says he's unsure how that would work in America, but if this scenario were to play out the way you fellas mentioned, it would be an added and necessary business expense for me. I believe the licensing is far more stricter across the pond in the UK than it is in the USA. Great idea. So again, if you missed that episode, basically I put an idea to Stylus about having DJ licenses. You can only play in a club if you have a license. If you don't have a license, you're not allowed to play in the club. Simple as that. Now, the way it would work is you would pay a set fee and you would have your DJ license, which allows you to play in the clubs. The clubs would save money because they would not have to pay for the music license, which is the PRS and PPL, a license that you have to have if you're playing music in public. So instead, it just transfers the responsibility of that over to the DJs. The DJ has to pay. I can't remember what price I said. I think I said about $3 grand a year or something. I might have said 5, but I think $3 grand a year. No, I think I did say 5. You know what? I cannot remember what price I said. Had some mixed opinions and mixed reviews on the price tag of my DJ license, but it was just a hypothetical suggestion that I think is definitely something that could benefit the DJ world. DJ Josh Scott. DJ Josh Scott. Dubai have a system where any DJ Josh Scott says, well, I can't have to say his name so, well, I've got to say his name so slowly. DJ Josh Scott says, Dubai have a system where any performer, DJs included, must have a permit for each venue they play at. I didn't know that. I thought Dubai just had a thing where you had to have a visa to work in the country. I didn't realize you had to have a permit for each venue. I think it's 3,500 AED or approximately £700. Apparently though, a lot of the time the venues and promoters pay the permit fee if they have confidence in who they're hiring. That's an interesting one. So Dubai are already running something like that. I'm gonna have to look into that more and get some more information about how that works and what exactly the permit is. Because if the venues can just pay it anyway, sort of defeats the object of my idea in the DJs paying for it, because the venues are supposed to save the money, the DJs pay for the license, but in turn it means the DJs can put their fees up across the board. So this one says DJs included must have a permit for each venue they play at. So I'm guessing that means if I'm playing at Club A, I need a Club A permit. If I'm playing at Club B, my Club A permit doesn't cover that, so I'm gonna have to get a Club B permit as well. I'll check that out, man. I mean, I'm sure we're probably going to get some Dubai DJs on the podcast at some point. Book us out in Dubai and it can happen even quicker. Just saying. Right, okay, so DJ T-Cell actually hit me up on Twitter about this with a huge thread, which I really liked. So I screenshotted the whole thing. I'm going to read out our conversation. So DJ T-Cell said, it's actually very similar. This is to do with the licensing. It's actually very similar to the DVLA as well. And to further add to your idea, you can even open your own credit company. I see companies jumping on it. So basically, yeah, making credit available for DJs. So if you want your license, but you can't afford to pay for it up front like that, you just apply to the credit company, which would be djdubl.com or something like that. And I will give you the money for your license. T-Cell went on to say, it really becomes a viable business opportunity which the economy and the government benefits as well. They can really regulate the DJ field with taxes, etc., which is what they've really struggled with and have been trying to do for recent years since it's become a lucrative business. I'm not such a fan of that part, I'm not going to lie, but I do agree it will help the economy. And yeah, I mean, on a formal side of it, it puts DJs on the radar. So if you have your DJ license, you're obviously running a business, and then the tax man can come and get his tax from you. So it's probably something the government would definitely endorse. Another point he made was, just like companies like Prince's Trust who give financial help and startup loans to young people getting into businesses, I can see other charities and companies or even banks getting into the system of loaning to those who may not have the funds to buy their license. So yeah, basically it would legitimize DJing as an actual business on so many different senses. Like, yeah, the banks would get involved, and yeah, companies getting involved. Young DJs would be able to take their business loan and get the license. Same way that if you were gonna be a licensee of a pub, or if you wanted to start up a catering company or whatever, and you need all your certificates and stuff for that, you might not have the money up front, so you get a business loan. It'll work like that. T-Cell's last point on this was probably the best part of the whole entire conversation. He said, not to talk of the fact that people can go start a GoFundMe page to get the license and build a credible fan base that can benefit them later on when they do get the license, as they would have a following to actually present to the clubs and charge more also. That is just an absolutely amazing idea. So let's just say you want to get into DJing, but you can't afford the license. Okay, start a GoFundMe page, start inviting it out on your social media. That GoFundMe page, all the people that you collect on there, they're the ones that are getting you into the business. They are your core fans. They're like the day one fans right there. And I'm sure there's a way of collecting the data from GoFundMe, whether it's email addresses, just names, social media handles. There's definitely going to be a way that you can collect that data, keep it in one place. What an amazing idea. So yeah, big up DJ T-Cell. We did a podcast on mental health in DJing. I think probably the most important podcast that we actually did so far on the series. And yeah, it reached quite a lot of people. I got a lot of DJs hitting me up on my DMs it's mostly on Instagram, to be honest, reacting to the video that I put into my stories. It's kind of very, very clear that this is a huge problem. We knew this already, which is why we did the podcast. We wanted to get it out there, make people know that, you know, you're not on your own with this. I think the topic that resonated with people the most, I really wanted that one to be kind of widespread and shared on a mass scale, because it is such an important topic. I think part of the problem with this, and the reason that so many people are suffering from these mental health issues, and part of the reason that anxiety especially is so rife amongst the DJ community, basically what I see when I'm looking at a lot of different DJs, everyone's trying to do everything. Now, this is something I learned about this year, right? Just cut it back. Now, instead of trying to do a podcast, a radio show, something else, clubs, weekly mixes, trying to be social media the whole time, trying to be out at the parties all the time, trying to do all the industry events, trying to do this, that, and you're just spinning thousands of plates. Just focus on the key things that you want to do. And my advice to choose them, if you're like, oh, I don't know how to pick them, I don't know which ones to pick, my advice would be pick the ones that you love and basically just focus on them. Give them all your energy, all your attention. Because the people, you're overworking yourself basically. And what you'll find is you're not being really good at anything. You're just being all right at everything. Make a map of what you want to achieve as well. Like, make an actual plan, because I think another thing that really accelerates the amount of anxiety in people is this DJing job is a career without a defined path. And by that I mean, you don't know where you're going to end up, and you don't know what making it, quote unquote, is going to be. Do you know what I mean? You might end up on Radio 1, that might be your final goal. Or you might end up like Calvin Harris, where you're the highest paid DJ in the world, producing records, doing all these live shows. Like, but there's no defined path to get there. You kind of just have to work and build your brand and grow and grow and grow. You can't do that if you're constantly scattering and doing all these other tiny little things. And I think that's where the anxiety in a lot of people comes from. It's like they're doing all this stuff. I'm doing everything. I'm working myself to the bone, but nothing's connecting and nothing's really blowing up. So just slow down a bit, like just take time, have a plan as well. You've got to think of this as a business. Like, no other business just decides, oh, I want to do this, I'm going to do everything to do with this from the start. Like, you actually build up to things. That's the mentality you have to have as a DJ. And I think that definitely will help. I think social media doesn't help as well. We all know that social media is a huge cause of depression, anxiety, loads of mental health issues. As DJs, we have to be on social media. That's a given. I wouldn't be. If I wasn't DJing, I'd just cut it off. But as DJs, we have to be on social media. Limit your time. Just remember, it's a really good app. Like, it's not life. It's not everything. Just get on, post your stuff, do what you need to do in terms of marketing, come off, get back on with your work and focus on actually growing your brand. Don't spend the whole time on social media, and especially don't spend the whole time on social media watching what everyone else is doing and getting depressed about the fact that you're not doing what everyone else is doing. I won't mention any names of people that messaged me about this one, because obviously a lot of people, like I say, they hit me in the DMs, so they obviously didn't want to go too public about this. The most important thing, like the most important thing about the whole mental health things, anxiety, depression, whatever, talk to someone. Like, I can't stress that enough. I'm here. My DMs are open if you want to chat about it. I know Stylus feels exactly the same, so you can hit him up as well, talk about it. But not just us too, like if you've got friends outside the DJing, talk to them about it. Parents, talk to them about it. Other DJs that you are cool with, talk to them about it. When we posted out the mental health podcast, the amount of DJs that hit me up that I know personally, that's the crazy thing. The amount of guys that I actually know as friends, or as, you know, as actual DJs that I can see and be like, oh, how are you? Da, da, da. People that I really do know, they were the ones hitting me up, and I was just like, wow, I had no idea. But talking about it, that is the key. So don't keep it to yourself. We went on the road, as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, we went on the road for the last couple of weeks worth of podcasts were filmed up in Edinburgh. We covered so many different topics up in there, including networking as well, which is a really important topic for me to get out there. And the last week's episode, getting drunk as well. Getting drunk and DJing. The comments there were Shafiq Kayuki says, I don't know if you believe in the law of attraction. Just a week ago, me and my friend, who I watch all the podcasts with, we were having a conversation saying it would be even better if sometimes you guys started bringing on other DJs to sit down exactly like this and have a more wider conversation about DJing. We thought it would be interesting, and you guys have done it. I rate you for that, man. It's either the law of attraction is real or great minds think alike. I think the law of attraction is real, 100%. There's certain things that I have just put out there, like wild things that I'm like, I have to achieve that, I want to achieve it. And lo and behold, they have happened. But I also think great minds do think alike, so you must have a great mind in there. Bringing people in on the podcast as guests is something we always planned to do from the start. We always said that we were going to have guests, and we were going to bring in the DJ community from around the whole country, eventually internationally as well, when we get to travel abroad or when they come to the UK. We just wanted to make sure that we had the first part of the podcast and everything was in place. We knew what we were doing, we knew the format, we knew the quality, because you got to agree, right, this is the best quality podcast on the internet, like standard. Big ups to Stylus for that, actually, because he's probably, you could call him the creative director for the podcast. He had the vision of how it would look in terms of the camera work, the quality, and all of that stuff. So it was very important to us to make sure that it was the best looking podcast. Like, aesthetically is as important as the vocal side and the actual conversations. And now we've got it all sorted and we've got the formula. If you have a town or city that you want us to come to and do an on the road podcast, just hit up me or Stylus directly. Give us a shout, and let's figure out how we can come to your town or city and do a podcast with you and the people, the other DJs in your area. That's it. That's it from the comments. Finally, I feel like I've been talking forever. We're going to be back again next week with another official episode. I think Stylus is coming to my studio this time, which I'm excited about because I don't have to drive all the way up to Manchester. Don't forget, of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're trying to grow the brand, we're trying to build things, and the more people involved, the merrier. If you didn't already know, we are on Spotify now as well. So yeah, we have Spotify. So if you're one of the people that listen to us on your way home from the club at the end of the night, when you don't want to be listening to music, you don't have to keep the YouTube app open on your phone anymore. You can go onto Spotify, search Talkover Podcast, click follow on there, and we're right there, man. Every single week, every single episode, that goes onto Spotify as well. That's about it. I think we'll be back again next week. So it's every Wednesday, 8 p.m, youtube.com/Talkover Podcast. My name is DJ Dubl, and my co-defendant DJ Stylus, he'll be back on the podcast again next week. Thank you very much for watching. This is In the Comments, and we'll be back next week.